reporting for Katie Chats here in downtown Toronto with director, producer, editor Kire Paputts for the LAST POGO Jumps Again. How does it feel to be part of the Canadian Music Festival Week?
It's great. I mean, the film is it's 3.5 hours, so it's kind of a hard film to program in a lot of festivals because it's like a two-parter, it's a bit of an intermission. Because trying to watch it all in one sitting is just like kind of brutal. So it's nice that they jumped on it and really wanted to make it the world premiere. Yeah.
And you've been working on this film for quite a few years now. How did you initially get involved?
There was I think it was a Mods reunion show. It was one of the early reunion shows at the Horseshoe. And I was with my dad. They're all like, still really close friends and stuff. And I ran into Colin, who had heard about me through Gary Top, film I'd made. And so Colin's like, hey, I'm starting this new project. I'd love to interview you for the film. So at first I was just going to be an interview. I wasn't actually involved with anything behind it yet. And so we did an interview about a week later at a GO train station, which lasted about 5 minutes till we got kicked off by security. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then after that, yeah. It didn't make the film because I'm a horrible interview on screen. So as and Colin's like, hey, do you want to help me film this or that? Because he was busy doing real work. And I was like, yeah, I'm fresh out of university. I don't have a job or anything. Let's do this. And so over the years, I kind of just got more and more involved as it went along. Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about how you got interested in punk music and this whole scene.
Well, I guess my in was a bit different because my dad was part of it, so I kind of always grew up knowing bits and pieces of it, not all of it. So I had a good grasp of things like Novel Tones or The Ugly, and I knew about the Diodes and Teenage Head. And then I was always fascinated with that music and my dad's history with that, because a lot of crazy stories with such a small period of time. And I've always wanted to make a film about that at some point, whether it be like a narrative piece or a documentary. So when Colin came along and said, hey, I'm doing this thing, I naturally was like, yeah, for sure, this is a great idea. And even as I was doing more research and just meeting people and interviewing people and finding new, old 45s and stuff, I started to actually really kind of come to loving a lot of the bands that were a part of that scene, not just the bigger ones, but the ones that no one's even heard of. So
this was such a specific film and a unique time. Do you find that a lot of people from your generation have a lot of knowledge about it?
No, not really. I think it's gotten better. I think because over the last few years, not only has this film come out, but there's been 3 books on it now. One oral history, one book strictly photography, and the other one's just like a history of Canadian punk in general. So it's definitely, people are starting to latch onto it and starting to find this. And I think with things like the internet, you're starting to find that there are pockets of people who have heard of this stuff, like over in Sweden or like the UK or all over the place, right? So people are finding out more and more. I think it's, now it's starting to actually hit more like the mainstream. Like most of the friends my age, none of them knew anything about Toronto punk until I'd mentioned while I'm working on this movie. And then once, of course, they hear a few things or they learn more about it, they get really interested, like, oh, this is awesome, and it's kind of like spreads that way. But I think now it is starting to get a proper due. But I think up until even like I would say 4 years ago, it was still pretty much on the back burner, and no one really knew very much about it unless you were like from that time. Yeah.
And you guys interviewed hundreds of different people. How did you approach the editing process for this?
I started really just kind of focusing on just moments first. Like this is kind of an interesting scene. Let's work with this or this and this. And then over the years, because it took years, I realized, okay, well, this kind of can fit in with this more. And I kind of started to get the bigger thing together. So I started really small, just scenes and just things, and then I found ways to kind of link them together. And in a way, the film is pretty chronological for the most part, so that kind of helped as well. But sometimes it'd be hard to find those moments to bridge those things together. But I mean, we have hundreds of hours of interview and archival footage. So the bigger task wasn't so much finding things that worked. It was just trying to narrow it down to something that wasn't 6 hours long, which was actually the first cut was about 6 hours long, I think. Yeah.
And tell me a little bit about your screening at Canadian Music Week.
Yeah, it's happening Saturday, March 23rd, 12:30 at the TIFF BELL LIGHTBOX. Yeah, come on down.
And you guys will be there for a Q&A?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And where's the best place to find out more information on the film online?
TheLastPogo.net.
Thank you so much. Congratulations and best of luck with the film.
All right, thanks for having me.
Thanks. I'm Katie Allman reporting for Katie Chats here in downtown Toronto.